Everything is running buttery smooth on old school RuneScape, so low-end games will work just fine. Hey, how's it going, guys? I want to thank Jimtab, the company, for sending this out. So this looks like kind of like a fake iPad just right off the bat on the box. It's a very simple packaging, though. There's nothing really special or no specs around it. Also, one quick thing to note is that I might sound a little dull or monotone at points in this video because unfortunately I got the Rona. So that's pretty much why I'd have like a monotone voice. I'm still recovering from that. So anyways, got the tablet here, got the user guide here. Put that to the side. Then underneath that, we have all this other stuff here, including a wireless keyboard, a Bluetooth keyboard. That's kind of nice. And put that to the side, as well as a wall outlet, a USB-C to USB-A cable, and then another micro USB to USB-A cable. That's interesting. I'm guessing that might be for the keyboard here. And it looks like it is for the keyboard. Finally got a stylus here, kind of nice. A USB-A to USB-C adapter, patch installment kit, and then the Bluetooth keyboard user manual. So it comes with quite a bit out of the box, and that's pretty nice. It's always appreciated since you have so much here. Well, I guess the first thing is that this is kind of like bulky and heavy. One of the heavier tablets that I've seen. And on the bottom, I can just see that there are speaker phones or 2 speaker grills. So there's not 2 on the top, so it's not going to be too immersive or anything. But thankfully there is a headphone jack, so that's kind of nice. So 3.5mm headphone jack on the corner, and then there is a micro USB or micro SD card slot for expandable storage. By the way, I take back what I said about this being too thick. It actually has about the same thickness as a DMOAO tablet that I checked out not too long ago. So on the front, we got the front camera, and unfortunately it looks like there's no screen protector. Oh no, there is a screen protector installed. Just to confirm, there is one that's pre-installed, so that's kind of nice. It's a little hard to tell on video, but it's easier to tell in person. Maybe if I zoom in, you can probably kind of see kind of where it ends. I should say the corners more specifically. And there's also a camera on the back, an AI camera with a flash, really small flash. It does protrude a little bit, so keep that in mind. And on the right side, there's really nothing. And on the left side, do have the volume keys, power button, and the USB-C port. So far, it seems like this is your pretty standard run-of-the-mill tablet. It has a 1280 by 8800 display, so things might be a little more faster on here, more smooth because of that, which is nice. It's not a laminated screen by any means. The brightness is average. That's just how it is. Everything is just average so far on this. The bezels, and then there's not too much bloatware. This stuff, the games that I downloaded, including DRM Player, Netflix, and Geekbench, and CPU-Z are stuff that I've downloaded. Otherwise, you'll easily have over 100 gigs out of the box. No problems there. The camera itself is nothing to be excited about. It's okay for like a Skype call or video call. The shutter's pretty quick, which is nice. And the rear camera is just mediocre at best, too. We'll take a quick picture here. It does a decent job. Yeah, it's a tablet camera. I can't really expect too much, but it's all right. Which does not look damaged at all. I have not taken it out of this plastic. It gets really loud, which is nice. It only emits from the bottom, of course. It gets loud, which is what's important, and that's what really matters. And unfortunately for my tablet specifically, it seems like my volume down button isn't working, but it's just my tablet. It doesn't apply to every tablet, and the quick fix for that is that I just press the volume up and then adjust the volume here. So that's the one nice thing about touchscreens, but it still stinks that this happens, and it could happen to you, but it most likely won't. The one thing that does bug me is the fact that they didn't include a kickstand case or some type of kickstand with the keyboard, because without anything, it's just lying flat there, so I have to figure out something. Thankfully, I do have a kickstand here. It does not come with it, and I'll just place it here for the time being. To connect this keyboard, first you got to do is turn this on here on the right side, and then when it turns on, it'll show the power button, and then if connecting for the first time, you can press the connect button, and it's really straightforward. You just go into Bluetooth on your device. I'm going to hold Bluetooth here, and it's called the Bluetooth keyboard. Literally, that's what it's called. Bluetooth keyboard, no other name. So it doesn't get simpler than that. Once it's connected, you can start using it now. This keyboard seems pretty responsive. It has some decent feedback, and there's not too much of a latency or delay, so that's nice. Really have no complaints about this keyboard. There isn't anything for it to kind of lift up, so it's going to be flat as is. It is relatively thin, so I don't really have any complaints for that. And I guess it's nice that they included one, but if you're going to have a keyboard, I think you should also have a kickstand with it. Going to Geekbench, the scores were pretty low, actually a little lower than I even expected. It's even lower than the DMOAO. I don't know how to pronounce their name. That one had a slightly higher multi-core score, around the same single core score, and then the GPU score was around 1100. Either way, as I said before, performance is decent on here doing basic stuff. I really haven't noticed much delays, if any at all. So that's a good sign. Then here's some more detailed info on CPU-Z. It has an ARM Mali G72 MP3 with an MT8183 processor. And then some more stuff on the device, 1280 by 800 display, as mentioned before, 160 DPI. Now here's something I personally don't like. On the listing, it has 24 gigabytes, but in reality, it's really just 8 gigabytes with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And VRAM is not the same as regular RAM. So this is pretty misleading overall, and that in and of itself can be a deal breaker. So if they deliberately put that on there, I think it's not worth getting. Just stop the video right now. But if they did change it, then it's worth checking this out even further and considering this, because it does seem like a decent device, but it's not to the level where it would be an incredible one. I mean, if it did have 24 gigabytes of RAM, that would be insane. I think that would be more of an overkill too here, because it would just be bottlenecking anything you would try to do to run that much RAM or have that type of like software or game you're going to try to play at like very high settings. I mean, RAM isn't really the solution to play games at like the highest graphics or anything, but you get my point. I've got to give credit where credit's due. So I went ahead and emailed them about the issue with their listing, which was that they had 24 gigabytes of RAM on the title, when in reality this has 8 and 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, I think VRAM is completely useless. I don't think that should even be mentioned anywhere at all. Companies these days are trying to like prop up their spec sheet by saying it has 16 gigs when it's really 8. But this one has 8 gigabytes and then 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And so it makes it look like it's much greater than it really is. It's pretty outrageous to do that, and that's pretty misleading. So when I emailed them telling them that, they actually went ahead and changed the title and fixed up a little bit in the description here and there, or the listing. So I got to give props. I got to give them credit for being a little more honest and transparent, because other companies are a little more resistive. So kudos to them. I give them a pat on the back for that. So take that how you will, but we're going to move forward with this review. For whatever reason, RuneScape was not loading, so I went to old school RuneScape just to see if it was a GPU issue, which it shouldn't be, and it wasn't, and everything is running buttery smooth on old school RuneScape, so low-end games will work just fine. Alright, I finally got RuneScape to load. I'm not sure what was going on, maybe it was something with the servers, but anyways, I have the graphics set to the lowest settings, and so far it seems like it's going to work just fine. And by alright, it's going to lag, or not really lag, but the frame rate is going to be a little on the lower end, and it looks like it's just getting worse as I keep walking. 16 FPS. I mean, that's really not playable, I'd say. To each their own, but anything under 20 consistently is just not a good sign in my eyes. So for light gaming, this is alright, but anything higher end, you're going to want something else. Overall, it's not bad. Oh, and one other thing I did want to mention, or two other things, is battery life seems to be, it's okay. It's not as good as from what I've seen compared to like my previous tablet that I tested out, which was the DMOAO. I can't pronounce it correctly. And I try to go into, let's see if we can get a more accurate battery reading from last usage. And it looks like we are not. So that's the unfortunate thing. One thing I will say is when I had this on overnight, if I left it on overnight, like by on, like the screen wasn't on or anything, it was just like locked but not turned off. I think I lost like 5% or something overnight. So it does deplete relatively more quickly than other tablets. You can still get maybe half the day or almost a whole day depending on how you use it. With lower usage, it'll be more of a full day. If you use it more often for like video consumption or something, it's probably going to be maybe 5 hours or so. I mean, that's just a very rough guess though from what I've seen. So take that how you will. And one last thing is that I did try to watch something on Netflix, and unfortunately this does have Widevine level L3. I would show the DRM info on the app, but it just says apparently it doesn't work for this device. So for whatever reason, it's not going to load up, and that's unfortunate. But I did try watching something. It may be a little hard to tell on video, but this is 480p, or maybe even something less right now, but I've never seen it go to HD or full HD, so that's the other downside. It doesn't support full HD 1080p on streaming sites, only on YouTube, so that's the other thing. But at least this one does have a keyboard if need be, so this is going to be decent for like school or something because it comes with it. Not saying you can't get it separately, but you know, all in one together for $140, it's not bad. And if you don't really care about the keyboard or anything, then there is another option out there, which is the Link Plus tablet that I actually made a video on not too long ago. I'll have a link down in the description, or actually an annotation and card somewhere around here, because this is the end of the video. So, and I'll be checking out other tablets, so stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.